Get our meeting started tonight. I'd like to ask Larry from the water plant to lead us in pledge of allegiance, and I'll say a prayer for us before we start our meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you would be with us tonight, lead, guide, and direct us. Make us do your things that will make you proud, O Lord. I ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I now call this meeting of the Port St. Joe City Commission to order. We will only be working with 4 commissioners tonight. Commissioner Lowry is on vacation out of town. First thing we have coming up is the consent agendas. We have 3 of them. We have a regular meeting from 9-4. We have a workshop from 9-4. And we have a special meeting that was held on 9-6. I need a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
We have a motion of Commissioner Ashbrook.
A second.
Second, by Commissioner Langston. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0. All right. Port St. Joe redevelopment update. Anybody here? Talk about that. You want to
No
talk
updates.
about
No updates at
anything?
this time.
Okay. All right. City Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. The first item is ordinance 548, the ad valorem taxes ordinance. This is the second reading. I'll have to read in its entirety. Ordinance number 548, an ordinance of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida. And we'll need to call for a public hearing first and then a vote.
All right.
For the reading.
Anyone from the audience wish to speak on this item? I see a hand. Come on up if there is one. Just nope. All right. No one from the public.
Motion for a second reading, Mayor.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ashbrook,
Second.
second from Commissioner Hall. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
All right, now I'll get to read to the board. Ordinance number 548, an ordinance of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida, levying the ad valorem property tax millage rate for municipal purposes on all taxable property within the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2018 and ending September 30, 2019. Stating the percentage by which the millage levied is 5.886% more than the rollback rate and providing an effective date. Whereas Florida law requires the City Commission of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida, to pass an ordinance or resolution levying the millage rate for ad valorem property taxes for municipal purposes on all taxable property within the city limits of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida, for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2018 and ending September 30, 2019. Whereas Florida law requires said ordinance or resolution to state the millage rate to be levied and also state the percentage by which the millage rate is greater, equal to, or less than the rollback rate as computed pursuant to Florida law. And whereas the City Commission of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida has duly considered the budgetary requirements of the city, has adopted a tentative budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2018 and ending September 30, 2019 based on a millage rate of 3.5914 mils on the taxable property within the city, and has acted in accordance with the terms, provisions, and procedures contained in section 200.065 Florida statutes. Now therefore it be enacted by the people of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida, in special session assembled that the ad valorem property tax millage rate for municipal purposes to be levied on the taxable property within the city limits of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida during the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2018 and ending September 30, 2019 is hereby set at the rate of 3.5914 mils. The percentage by which this millage rate to be levied is more than the rollback rate of 3.3927 mils computed pursuant to Florida law is 5.86%. This ordinance shall be effective October 1, 2018.
Motion to adopt.
Have a motion from Commissioner Ashbrook, second Commissioner Langston. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Mayor, next is ordinance 549, 2018-2019 budget. Again, a public hearing is called for initially.
All right, anyone from the public wish to speak on the budget? Anyone? No, sir?
If we could get a motion for second reading.
Motion for second reading.
Motion from Commissioner Hasbrook. Second from Commissioner Hopper. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
This is ordinance number 549, an ordinance of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 as the final budget of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida for fiscal year 2018-2019 and providing for an effective date.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Hasbrook.
A second.
Second by Commissioner Langston. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0. I'd just like to piggyback on what we just went through and commend staff at City Hall and all the department heads for working hard to hold the budget in line. No increase in taxes, just like the last 10 years, something like that. But they did do a hard job, got things down where we needed them to, and gentlemen, ladies, we appreciate it, I do, and I know everybody else does. I just wanted to commend you on what you've done.
Mr. Mayor, I have nothing further.
That's it. All right, Jim.
Yes, sir. The first item we have under old business is the community garden. Commissioner Langston's been working on it for us.
Thank you, Jim. I talked to Mr. Ray Baudry last week, and the important thing for us to do is get the insurance with the Washington Improvement Group. He told me that it'd be easier with the outside extension partner so that we can get this extension started. They're going to help us with seeds, trees, education. There's going to be some master gardener experience people there. But he works for the University, well, he's involved with the University of Florida. So once we get the information, once I meet with the WIG, which I have to go before their board, and I did the research and had some people to do some things on the insurance, which they have to have, and I have some quotes, so I'll present that before the WIG board. Once we do that, they'll bring down the state, and also we have to get the soil tested for contamination to make sure that there's no contamination. Once we get that done, get the insurance done, he'll bring people down from the University of Florida, and the state will come down, St. Joe Company, and we can get started from there. So until we get the insurance done and the testing for the contamination, we can't go any further, and we'll move forward. Once that's done, we'll move forward, and I'm hoping that the city will allow Washington Improvement in our community to use some equipment or whatever we need to. Well, we already discussed it. They said they would. We're going to allow the Washington Improvement Group to use tillers and such to help get the ground ready for planting. And hopefully it'll be done within a month and a half, so that we can go ahead and get this thing cleaned up and get ready to get the planting. So that's where I'm at with that.
All right, thank you.
The next item we have is in reference to the PSJ High State Championship sign. We had a discussion at the last meeting. We're continuing to work on it. We got it back again tonight for we can further the discussion on
Mayor, at this point, I mean, we're still working on trying to gather all the historical information on the championships, so until we get to that point, I don't have anything further to bring to you guys at this time.
Okay.
Did you include the group, I know there was discussion about different people being included on the sign. I know Ms. Pierce mentioned a group from many years back. I want to make sure we stay focused on
Yes,
including
sir.
them.
The timeframe Ms. Pierce had mentioned last meeting is on there. It's just, we're just having to gather up a lot of information like that. So,
Appreciate it.
I think that's got a lot to do with me. I'm trying to continue to gather a lot of information for us, Washington High and what they've accomplished. It was a lot of championships, but I've been talking to some people, and me and John talked, and I think it's going to be some nice signs and some things going to be, people going to like what John puts together.
continue to work on that. The last item we had on the old business is the Northport St. Joe PAC zoning request workshop. The notices have been sent out. We have everything scheduled for 5 o'clock on 9/27. I did also talk to Mr. Davis about if we could have 10 minutes maybe to begin the meeting to talk about the projects that we've just completed. We just completed 2 grants for the water improvements in North Port St. Joe. We thought that might be a good opportunity to have that discussion and talk about the projects that have just been completed.
Sure. Sounds good.
New
And
business,
this is gonna be where?
it's going to be at the WIG building.
That's what-
Yes,
I'm gonna
yep,
let you-
5 o'clock.
All right.
New business, the only item we have tonight is the surplus of scrap metals. Mayor, you want to talk about it tonight?
Yes, I had a call from the welding man at the welding class at the high school, and he had mentioned that we'd got some old surplus diamond steel piping, and they want to know if they could get that and use it out there to practice on and maybe to build a few things. And I talked with Jim on, John, and I talked with Jim, mentioned it to him. And I'd just like to see if we can, whatever we got to do to make that happen. He says he'll come pick it up. We don't have to deliver it. Just let him know when we made a decision. I told him we'd make one tonight. And I think this would be good for the students out there. And we don't need it anyway, do we, John?
No, sir, we do not.
So do we need a motion to make it scrap?
Yes, so what I would suggest is you made a motion to declare scrap surplus property and to give it to the school. I think we'll do it.
I need a motion to that effect from somebody. Motion from Commissioner Ashbrook, second.
Second.
Second Commissioner Hoffman. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, Johnny, you can call Tommy and tell him to come get it, or I will, whichever way you want to do it.
However
Don't
you like me to
matter.
do it, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Public Works.
Yes, sir, thank you, Mayor. There should be some sheets in the board's packet as it relates to a lift station pump. This pump is for St. Joe Beach. We have the master station there that pumps to Windmark offsite, only has one pump. We held off on this throughout most of the year, waiting for the end of September before the purchase. So you've got 3 quotes in front of you. Obviously, I would recommend the lower quote. That is under our bid threshold. So if it's the board's pleasure, make a motion and we'll get that pump on the way.
Was that the 20,219? Got the letter?
Yeah, 998 and some change, I believe, from
Okay.
EMU.
We need a motion.
Motion to accept.
Have a motion from Commissioner Hoffman.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ashbrook. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries forward.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing else unless there's questions from the board for me.
Anything for John? Well, John, thanks. Larry?
Mr. Mayor, I really don't have anything unless there's questions.
Anything for Larry? All right, Mike?
The FERDAP grant application cycle opens on October 1st through October 15th. And so we've scheduled the FERDAP meeting for a committee meeting for September 27th at 1 o'clock at City Hall. In talking with the members of that committee, there was one member that said he didn't want to serve any longer. His name was Claude Thomas. And then the other member was William Thursby, was a commission representative on that committee. So I didn't know whether the board wanted to look at replacing those 2 positions on that committee.
How many we got on the committee?
I think there's 8 total people.
So now you only have 6, is that what you're saying?
That's correct. And Clay and I serve as the city representatives on that committee, so there was 10 people involved. Clay and I go to the meetings as support for the committee.
Do we actually need to replace them?
I don't know that we do, honestly.
Does a commissioner have to be on the committee?
No, it's just Mr. Thursby expressed an interest to be
Is there any
involved.
benefit to having a commissioner on it, or is that just bog it down?
I mean, I certainly can forward all the preparatory information to commissioners in an email, so you'll have the information before it's presented to the committee.
I'm fine with just working with the ones that you have.
What you got left?
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
that's okay with everybody?
I think that's fine.
So then in October, the next first meeting in October, we'll come back and bring a recommendation to you for the FERDAP grant cycle coming up.
Okay.
That's all I had, Mayor.
All right, Jim, you got anything from wastewater?
Kevin's actually working tonight. He is working on trying to reduce the levels on the lagoon, so yes, sir. He's
They got
actually,
all the water, right?
yes, sir. So he is actually working on
City engineer.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. A couple updates. One is the Langston Drive sidewalk project, just a quick recap on that. That was one the city applied for, the money probably five, maybe 6 years ago now, but it was awarded, DOT programmed it, and the county is administering that grant. It's a LAP project, and the county is LAP certified, so they're actually administering that grant, even though it originated from the city. So they received bids on that a couple of weeks ago. GAC was the apparent winning bidder. They were about, using whole numbers, about 17,000 over the budget that was in the grant. And so Mr. Anderson wrote a letter to the county requesting that they seek more funds from DOT. So this morning, the county's packaged that up, sent it back to the DOT requesting a shortfall of 17,000. So hopefully we'll hear something positive, but that's where that is.
Well, I'm the one who initiated everything. And it was about
It's been a
6
while.
years
It's been a
ago.
while.
How long is that gonna take?
On the extra money, they should know something within a week. DOT knew, that as soon as they opened the bids, they knew it was short, and so we just needed the formal request to get in, but hopefully here's something in a week or so, and then if it's all positive, it'll move forward.
Could we actually fund that and be reimbursed from DOT, or do we just have to wait on the money?
Safe bet is to wait on the money. I don't know. I don't know.
I just hate to have it waiting and waiting if we can go ahead and spend the money.
Yeah, if it drags on, maybe I'm not sure. Second thing, just a quick update on some of the road projects. Reed Avenue is complete now with the striping. The schedule is weather dependent, obviously, but Thursday we're planning on coming in on 2nd and 4th Street. That's in between Reed and Williams, changing the striping on that, which will change the traffic flow on those two streets. It should only take one day to be done with that.
Yeah, excuse me, I'd asked Bill earlier today, because I was walking down there close to where my office is, and when you go across the road there on the brick paving, a lot of tar there. I asked him, were they gonna be cleaning that up for us, or
Okay.
make a note of that maybe, because there is some tar there.
Okay. And then, I don't know if you have the sheet.
I did
Yeah,
get
the
them.
sheet, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
all the
so
questions.
those are some of the prices, something like that. Those are the prices on the things that we've been asked about, kind of how do you want to, what do you want to utilize your remaining about 97,000 for? So those are some options for you. You don't have to decide tonight if you want to wait a couple weeks, but
Could you include the part of where I was telling you about over by the tennis courts? I don't know, is that
you know
is
what?
that the city road?
No,
We got
sure
Bob
not.
selling
He
four.
did mention that, and I apologize.
Some of these
That's not
streets
on.
So that is that a city road?
Yes.
It is.
Kind of runs behind the bank. It's in terrible shape. It's been patched, repatched.
How many on this list has already been done?
On the list you have here, 0. These would be additional.
Oh, we haven't done Ballsville and.
We did part of it, Mayor. We did the other end of Box Sale, but
Oh,
not
okay.
from,
This ball stuff behind the Goodwill. This is from the Currys, up to
the church.
5th and 4th.
Okay.
Right, and that includes also 4th back up to 98.
Okay.
That stretch includes.
Mayor, we also asked today about whether guardrails would be an appropriate funding or not from the road bond money, because we do have several guardrails. Mr. Granley come up with a good idea. We have several, one on Long Avenue, 16th Street, Mike, we have several crossings that the guardrails have not been replaced in very, very old. So we don't know how much they're going to cost or if they're going to be approved, but we did put it out there to ask.
The county did, late, right before I came up here, the county did email back, say guardrail, that you can't use the road fund money on it. So, that's an option. So again, it's not something you have to decide tonight, it's kind of where we are. I can get numbers for the tennis court, maybe in a couple of weeks, if you're ready to move forward, we can. So we're really we'd like to kind of know what you want to do, so we get a contractor direction, so when they start 8th Street, they can kind of know what their finished list is, and then come in and do it all. It's kind of the idea on the timing of 8th Street.
If we do all of these, we gotta come up with what, about another $73,000?
Yes, sir. And I think the intent is just to stay within your 97, so you can just pick and choose what you want, but yes, sir, that's
How much more time we got?
If you want to wait till the first meeting in October, that's fine. That's fine.
I'd like to look this over and, cause some of it's gotta be scrapped unless we get money from somewhere else, right?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Can the county give us any money, more money? I can ask them
Always
that.
ask.
All they say is no.
You can always ask.
I learned to take rejection pretty well. All right.
And then the last thing, and it's not on the agenda, and this is really more for information for you tonight. The county applied, Commissioner Quinn, probably, I think it was last year, got the county to apply for a grant. It's called Recreational Trails Program. It's RTP through DEP, through the state. Anyhow, the grant, they were awarded the grant, the county was awarded the grant. They also worked with Bill Kennedy on the application. So because the grant includes Core Park, the trails around Core Park, refurbishing the Shell walking path that's down there, adding some more walking paths down there, and then adding some lights along the bike path through the city. I think adding some benches, so that kind of thing. So anyhow, that grant, they were awarded that grant. Some direction we will need from y'all is on lights along the path, radio on them, that kind of thing. You know, the darkest part of your path is between 20th and elementary school. And so, you know, if it was me, that's where I would focus on putting lights. The rest of the trail, you know, is kind of behind folks' houses. And so, you know, you probably want to consider, and unless you've been specifically asked to put a light somewhere on that part, you know, you may not want to do that. But we'll need some direction from y'all, not tonight, but probably first week of October, we'll ask for that. We've got some preliminary numbers on two different options, one from Duke Energy and the cost they would have for running lights along that stretch from 20th and elementary school. We also got some costs on solar lights. I don't know that solar lights is a good fit for that section, how wooded it is, but nonetheless, it's an option. So we'll try to firm up those numbers and bring it back to you in a couple of weeks. And then in the meantime, you know, if y'all are out and about after dark and you see some other places that would make sense for lights on the trail, you know, certainly let us know that. But we'll ask you in a couple of weeks for some direction, so we can give the county some direction on what the city would like to use for the lighting portion of that.
You said, we're gonna try to make more trails.
In Core Park, so I think the discussion was refurbish the Shell walking trail and then maybe around the pond add some kind of a Shell walking path around the pond as well. So it was only kind of in Core Park, as was part of that grant. Mr. Mayor, that was all I had, unless y'all have questions.
Any questions for Clay from anybody? Thank you, Mike.
Hold on. I just would like to see, the trail start heading across 71, coming toward, Washington High, where we can connect, the community where you can walk throughout the whole entire community. That's why I asked that question.
Gotcha.
And that's why I asked the question.
Yes, sir. And this is it's a grant program that comes up every year. You know, and my expectation would be you could apply in future years for what you're asking. It's a good program for that. It requires some match money, and the county had set aside some match money for it, but we've got match money. It's a good program.
Yeah, Commissioner Langston, if you talk to Jim, I know I spoke to him about it. There's just one little section that we have to work with St. Joe on. Kind of it's already a beat down path, but for liability purposes. But it's definitely one of the top things on my agenda once the park is finished to continue that trail to other parks.
Okay, that'd be great.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Code enforcement page, everybody look at it. A little increase in accumulation. And waste violation at 8 there and 11. So, a lot of trash and a lot of grass cutting going on. All right. Law enforcement.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I don't have anything on the agenda tonight. I do have one item I'd like to discuss with you, and that Sergeant Birch has entered the drop in February, and he has asked if he would be, when he retires, whenever that is, he can retire any day from today to his 5 years in the drop. If he could have his service weapon as a retirement gift, and that's customary in some places. I honestly haven't had anybody retire during my tenure. So I wanted to see what you guys thought about that, and wanted to have it on the agenda, but we just didn't get it on the agenda for this week.
Chief, how many years has Rusty been with us?
25 and some months now, so he went in and dropped it to get 25 years in.
I think it's a great idea. The state, when an officer leaves on good terms, after 25 years, they're given an ID marked retired.
Yes, sir.
You know that from FDLE. They're given a badge marked retired, and they're given their service weapon. So I support the idea. Matter of fact, I'll make a motion at this time.
I'll have a motion from Commissioner Hoffman,
Second.
second Commissioner Ashburn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries forward.
Does the board have any questions of me?
Anybody?
I just like to commend you on the job that they're doing, because it's been getting kind of heated over there on the north side, and they've been coming in doing a great job with the amount of officers that we have on duty. And I'd just like to commend you on how you handle the business with the police department.
Well, I appreciate that. I know in the budget meetings this year, we had some discussions come up, and I mean, there are times when we still just have one officer out there. And, you know, we can't be everywhere at once. I know you guys get complaints, I get complaints. I got a call this morning about speeders on Garrison Avenue between 7:30 and, well, between 7 and 7:30, and I told him, I said, we got one officer working, and he's in the school zone. So, I mean, we can't be everywhere at once. I promise you, we're trying to be more active and more proactive.
I appreciate you.
Any other questions from Chief? Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Ms. City Clerk?
Yes, sir, I have several items tonight. The first one is Ghost on the Coast. That will be Wednesday, October 31st. The costume contest will begin at 6. We've had a number of people express interest in it. We have the different categories like we've had in the past. Also, Christmas on the Coast will be Saturday, December the 8th. This is the second Saturday in the month. I've spoken with each of you, and you've committed to be in it, so start getting your conveyance ready.
I think it should be a competition this year.
We have judges, if you'd like, we've already secured those. We're ready, and people have been so warm and receptive and really encouraging about the Christmas parade and how much they enjoy it, so we're looking forward to that.
Always a good time.
Yes, sir, we had 104 entries last year, and I think we'll have that many and more. So, the trip to Tallahassee was not the best trip we've had. We're very disappointed. The State Historic Preservation, we were ranked number 8 and dropped to number 42. The Port Theater was ranked number 7 and dropped to 20. But between us and them is a total of 5 points. But there are 22 grants in those 5 points. And one of the panelists commented on ours, said exceptional application. It's political, but maybe one day they'll understand the importance of the building. So, open enrollment, Wednesday and Thursday. I've given each of you a little reminder. It was in front of your mics. So just, if there's a problem, please let me know. And also this week, the DAR has asked us to note that it's Constitution Week, and the city has signed a proclamation, the mayor signed it, supporting their endeavors to make everyone aware of the Constitution and how valuable it is to us. That's all I have, sir, unless there's some questions for me.
Anything from Ms. Charlotte?
Thank you.
All right. At this time, we'll go to citizens to be heard, and as I say, once again, we'll be doing the 3-minute rule. You that may not know the 3-minute rule, you get 3 minutes. At the end of your 3 minutes, if a commissioner gives you 3 more with a second to his motion, you may get another 3 minutes, okay? All right, come on up.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm here to tell you that I'm no longer president of the Washington Improvement Group. It is now Mr. Eddie Fields that have taken the reins, and he will be the president of the Washington Improvement Group.
Okay, well,
Yes.
I know they're proud of the service you've done for them. I know I've seen the work that you've done. You've been there and you've done what you needed to do, and I'm sure Eddie's will continue that tradition that you've already got going.
All right, thank you.
Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
like to say, that you have done a great job. The time that I've known you, you've always been involved and help people and do what you can to help our community. And I appreciate what you've done. I'd like to congratulate Eddie for stepping in and filling in the shoes, and we can continue to move on as one, as a community.
I thank you. I say want to thank you for the pavement of the Lionel Avenue A. It looks good. You did a wonderful job. And yes, it really is. And whenever, things are done for the city and within the city, I would like to comment you on what has been done and what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Right there? Come on up.
Commissioners, my name is Scott Hamilton. I live at 1302 Marvin. Don't panic, it's not about the hall. I came to request a stop sign on Marvin Avenue at 13th Street. It's not to be an annoyance, it's to be a speed control. Between 10th Street and 16th Street is a third of a mile of straightaway. People come down, nobody does 20 miles an hour. Golf cars, anybody does. So it's important because there's kids playing on the street down here. So we need to just slow them down. And that's the only way I can figure out. I hate to put stop signs up. I come from a city that's got 150 traffic lights. So we need to do it, but it needs to be done.
Okay. Yep.
What did you say, Marvin?
Marvin and 13th, there's already a
10th to
it's a
16th.
three-way intersection, so that would think of it.
I think there's a stop sign there around 13 or something.
There's a stop sign on 13th, so we need it on
On
Marvin
Marvin.
to slow them down
So the stop sign coming off of
both ways. On Marvin.
Garrison on the 13, you stop at Long, but then you don't stop traveling on Long.
On Marvin.
No, he's on Marvin.
There is no stop sign.
Yeah,
There is at 13th.
right, on 13.
I would like to
Yeah,
have
make it a three-way stop.
Just slow them on Marvin. I hate to do it because it's annoyance, but it's a safety thing.
Tell me about it. I've got a better understanding of what it means to stop at a stop sign since we put those two on 10th Street. Nobody stops. Some people don't even hit the brakes. And it's not that they don't know it's there, they just don't want to obey the law. So, I'm telling you, I'm stopping at stop signs because I've noticed I was probably maybe one of them, not that went straight through, we just did a roll by.
Yeah.
But by watching them, and I sit on my porch every day and watch them.
Yeah. I know, but I hope.
Some of them barely hit the brakes. They'll hit the brakes, see nothing's there, and they keep going.
Maybe they can slow them down.
you can't be everywhere, Chief. I know that.
But how much does it cost to, for a stop sign, though? What, do we have stop signs and, what does
For a complete assembly, around $168.
So we would need two stop signs there?
Yeah, Marvin, at 13. 13 is already a stop sign, it's a short, street up to Garrison.
I don't see, why not, if $100 and something dollars, why can't we put a stop sign there if it's gonna, make a citizen happy and it won't hurt anybody, just put a stop sign there? Why not put it there? If they don't stop, if they pull by the law, that's on them, but if it's concerns, if that stop sign can slow traffic, hey, what's it's in the budget and it's some money, but if you have a citizen that come before us and ask for the stop sign, why not? My motion that we give them 3 more minutes.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. You got 3 more.
Why not we, just put the stop sign up, the citizens stop, they stop. If they don't, they, give them a ticket if the police catch them. I mean, it's not gonna hurt anything, just put the, stop sign up. I think it'll be fine with me.
Chief, do you have an opinion on this? Is it a bad intersection?
My opinion would be, I'd say, let John and I go look at it tomorrow, talk about it, and let's bring it back to you guys for a decision.
Would you all be comfortable just putting it on the agenda as old business next meeting and voting on it then? If we'll let Chief and John take a look.
Let y'all look at it and let's get done what needs to be done.
They're aware of it because I've already complained to the police department. They did a ride around, but
Right.
It's difficult to catch somebody when there's only one person doing 50 miles an hour
Right.
on the street. And there's kids playing in the street down the way,
We'll work on it, for sure. They'll look into it, and then we'll bring it back to us at the next meeting. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Way back in the back.
Yeah. Christy McElroy, Woodward Avenue, Port St. Joe. I was curious if you guys had an opportunity to review this document that I gave you last meeting about Dewberry and the pipe situation. Okay. Is there a pipe plan for 8th Street to 16th? Is there a pipe plan? Where would one get a hold of that? Or 26th Street? Contract that you guys signed with the county? 16th Street. Is it 16th? Okay. Is there a pipe plan?
Sure. So I'll address it now.
Okay.
So the proposal here was for, this came out when the Parks Committee was looking at piping that ditch. And so they reached out and said, hey, can you help give us some guidance on number of pipes, size of pipes, that kind of thing. So we did that, we gave them a proposal, went through, I believe went through them and also went through the county. The county controls the TPC money. So they voted on that, approved that, got us signed up. So we did that. And we, trying to make sure there's nothing else in the scope for it. Sorry. Yeah, so we did, we delineated drainage basin, ran the calculations we needed to run, presented those findings to the park committee on the number of pipes and size of the pipes that we felt comfortable with. And so, yes, those results were presented to them. And then we also provided cost estimates from that, which was included in this.
Okay, so if I do a public records request to the county, I'll be able to get the proposal, correct?
The proposal's there, yes, ma'am.
Well, I mean, about how many pipes and the size of the pipes.
It should be in the meeting minutes. as far as I know.
Okay, great, that's good. As you guys know, we had Northwest Florida Water Management come in and meet with us. And one thing that they stressed is that they really look at the facts and the regulations and the details. And they can't make any decisions until those details come into them. And then they start the permitting process. So if there's no plan that's been submitted to them, and I spoke to the executive director today, and there is no plan that has been submitted to them, they can't comment that the project is a go or a no. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. They go strictly by what the regulations state. I give her my 3 minutes.
Okay? You have 3 more.
Thank you, sir. So in this status report for the subcommittee, it's dated December the 7th, 2017. Status report from Dewberry representative. Dewberry Representative Clay Smallwood explains that he was able to meet with Northwest Florida Water Management District. There were no initial issues seen, no roadblocks, and they should be able to obtain permits. The mitigation should also not be an issue. Mr. Bazette asked if the soil and muck survey had been done, and Mr. Smallwood explained that once the final footprint has been decided on, the survey will be done. So I sent this over to Northwest Florida Water Management, and they said, again, they can't say whether there's roadblocks or not. They can't say if there's issues or not, because they don't have a plan, and they haven't come out and done their due diligence according to the law and regulations. So I'm just curious who you spoke to at Northwest Florida Water Management, because I spoke to the executive director today.
You want me to address it?
Yes, sir.
Sure. So we do pre-application meetings all the time. That's not uncommon. We do them pre-regular, the DEP, Water Management District, Army Corps, all the regulatory folks, we talk to them before we have a project, as we're leading up to a project. That's what they prefer. They prefer to come out and off the time clock for them. You know, in other words, we submit an application to them, they have a window of time they have to respond. So they would prefer to come do it off the time clock and look at it, and take a look at the site, let us tell them what we're planning, yada yada. And so we did that. We had an on-site meeting. They had 2 biologists come down, they had their stormwater engineer come down, and based on my experience of previous meetings and all the applications we've submitted and permits we've obtained, you know, I felt comfortable with the results that I presented.
Okay, because that's not what the executive director told me today. So, whoever you met with, if it's public record, and I assume it is because this is public funds that are being used, I'd like to obtain a copy of who those individuals were. So I can go back to the executive director of Northwest Florida Water Management and just say, I guess this was off the clock. And again, y'all, when we asked you, and we were graciously enough to invite you in and said, do you want to go back and look at the site? They said, no. The executive director said to me, no, because of the fact that there were no plans that had been drawn or voted on or done. So I'll look forward, Clay, to getting those contacts from.
Yes, in the back, hold on 1 minute.
She's gonna give her 3 minutes.
All right, that's fine.
That's really all I have. I really wish you guys would have come to this meeting that we hosted out at the country club. We had about 13 interested people, and for, you know, a meeting that we scheduled 4 days in advance, it was well received. So I just want to make sure as we move forward, we're all following the rules and the regulations, and off-record conversations with DEP, et cetera, that really shouldn't be happening, because I've contacted DEP as well, and they said they cannot comment on permits or anything until a proposal comes into their office. So, not interested in all this behind the scenes, off the clock kind of stuff. It needs to be transparent. This process has not been transparent. You have not involved the neighbors, but we're involving ourselves. So I appreciate you guys, and I hope you'll stay vigilant with what is transparent and what is right and what is according to the regulations. And Clay, I'd like to get those names from you, please, before we leave here today.
Robert Branch, 1016 Marvin Avenue. Did y'all look at my last packet I gave y'all 9 cores? I handed each one of y'all and a couple over here. Did y'all get a chance to look at that? Y'all never commented on the last meeting. Did y'all ever look at it? Actually, the names of the residents that signed this packet here, the problems and concerns we have, there's actually 15 names. Did y'all get a chance to look at it?
I didn't.
Did you notice our concerns? Did y'all look? All y'all looked at it.
I read it.
Would y'all like to make a comment on it? I know last meeting, when I handed it to you, almost like you wouldn't listen, just like a waste of time, just go, get you 3 minutes to go sit down. So, I'll tell you what, if y'all didn't comment on that, I'll hand you another one. I only have 3 this time, but, Ms. Short, I'll hand you one for the record.
Thank you, sir.
Pretty much the same packet. It's actually just, on this packet, 9-4, what y'all failed to, comment on last time, I've got some updated pictures actually of the next day. It actually rained 2 days, y'all remember? Mr. Hoffman actually called you was on your way to Panama to get you to come look. You remember? But, okay, and that's the last knowledge that I have. But the problem's not going away, we still have these problems. Here's your copy. Now, These are 9-4, the last packet, and this is 9-5, these pictures. All of them behind my house, except for the last one is actually my house, the house next to me, and the fellow bought this house. These 3 houses here on the last page. Now what's gonna happen when we put a ball complex right there? That's gonna be the center of the hub right there. That's the last picture. Where the utility trailer is. Center field is actually gonna be right in his backyard. When the home runs hit, it's gonna be in this fella here, the new house he bought. So this is the actual picture from the next day. It hasn't got any better, it's got worse. I'm gonna read it. We are still very concerned of our present flooding problems and the more devastating problems that would occur due to your plans of piping at least 600 feet of drainage. Actually, the old copy said 300, but I restamped it all. It's actually double that. Now that's taking 3-foot steps, 600 feet. Okay. Of 600 feet of drainage, stormwater canal. This alone was building up so much surface area from the ball field expansion would push the water level up under our houses even more on both Marvin and Woodward Avenue.
I'll give him about 3 minutes.
Okay, you got 3 minutes.
We are still very concerned of our houses settling, that's the 15 names on some of them, due to the conditions, the 12-foot above at a minimum. The devaluation of our homes, the lights, the noise, the congestion would be devastating to our neighborhood with this ballpark expansion. All the city commissioners have not listened or cared about any of our concerns. We as resident taxpayers, we deserve to be listened to. All this is going to create more problems. This is just beginning when y'all start piping that ditch. This is swampland. There's cypress trees growing there. We said that 6 months ago. You don't cover up wetlands. Common sense, you don't cover up wetlands. We're going to hold all y'all responsible for your actions. Okay, one more thing, if I got a minute. I got on this actually in March. From March till now, I've been looking at stuff. Well, I went back since the last meeting, from March back a year, and I started digging up stuff about this ballpark. And the more I look at public records, the more I'm finding. I want to ask y'all a common sense question. Who is telling y'all what to do? Mayor Patterson, will you answer that?
I tell myself what to do.
Okay.
I ain't never listened to nobody else.
Okay.
I never will. You know me. You know me better than that.
I heard.
Well, you've known me a long time.
About 15 years. I got it highlighted. You can read it, I'll read it. 10th Street Park, actually, August 1st, 2017. Mayor Patterson, the mayor has not received a response to his inquiry as to whether they can be 2 city representatives on the committee. Commissioner Thurby stated that he has spoken with County Attorney Jeremy Novak, and he does not feel there's an issue. So it looks like the whole time it's the county telling y'all what to do, because only one of y'all is on this so-called committee that's calling the shots. Mayor Patrick, you remember when that was, this agenda here, you remember that? Almost a year ago. I went backwards.
I'll give him my 3 minutes.
All right.
You remember you making that statement, Mayor Patterson?
Well, it's been a little while ago, but if it's written in here, I said it. Whether I remember it or not, I said it.
What's the reason
Oh, it's
on
written
just
down
one,
there.
what would be the reason on just one city commissioner on this committee? And there'd be 20 county, officials, at least. I mean, I can pull up records of these so-called
How
subcommittees
many
that.
members are on the committee?
Mike was on it.
John and I,
John Grantland was
Jim
on
and
it.
There's,
Well, we got a lot of city people on there.
5 of us.
5 right there.
Was a commissioner.
okay, 5 cities, are you required, are you able to make a motion if somebody, wants to say approve something on this, are you allowable to second a motion?
We're on the committee,
Do
yeah.
you have that authority to do that?
Sure.
That's one-sided. Y'all, y'all asking the county for another city commissioner, that doesn't even make sense. It's right there, Mayor Patterson. Y'all had to get Jeremy Novak's approval to get another city commissioner on.
We don't never have but one that I know of, I'll be honest with you. If we put a second one, I don't know who it was.
I'm on it now.
You don't know, but you the only one.
Yeah.
We only have
I know what you
one
got,
at
I
any
know what
one
you got.
time.
And I know what you told us, you're supposed to put 2 residents on it, but that never happened. Wonder why that was.
I didn't tell you that.
That was a recommendation.
I didn't tell you that. I don't know where you get that from. But I didn't tell you that.
I know, I don't have 3 minutes.
It don't matter about the 3 minutes. Just tell me, don't put words in my mouth.
If I put them in there, it's the truth.
No, you're not telling the truth right now, sir.
I'm speaking truth. Okay, now, and I've gone back and looked at other records. I mean, your so-called, somebody's telling y'all what to do. Y'all not even making y'all decisions. And what it is, it's a bad decision, and y'all don't support the county, or the county's gonna support y'all. And that's not the way it should work. You see what I'm saying? Mayor Patterson, that's your words. But the next time I come up for Commissioner Langston, I'll have that on record for what you said.
That's fine.
Actually, Mr. Hoffman made the motion, and 2 more of y'all seconded, and it was agreement that you were supposed to put 2 residents on it. And y'all done away with the committee because y'all thought y'all had what you wanted. But that ain't the way it works.
No, you bring the record up, sir.
I will. That's all I got to say, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry. I think what it used to be.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. I'm new here.
Sir, you're speaking with this commission. You're not speaking to them people out there. I want you to understand that, though.
Okay.
Anyone that comes to the podium, you speak to us.
Gotcha. Just wanted to say hello to everybody.
Sure, I
Appreciate
understand.
that.
Yes, sir.
Didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm new here. I just moved from Colorado, up in the mountains.
Colorado.
Little tiny town. I came down here about 3 times in a row during the summer, see if I was gonna like the area. I like it. I decided to retire down here.
We're glad you did.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I bought a house over here on Marvin Avenue. This is the one the gentleman was talking about. I like the house. I love it. I love the backyard. It's got a whole bunch of trees across the back, right behind my property. It gives me a great sense of privacy. I need privacy. I spent a lot of time in Vietnam in the Marine Corps. I got my head pretty well screwed up. The VA's got me rated as 100% PTSD. I lived in a 300 resident town for the last 25 years because I can't take crowds or anything, but I realized that I had to retire someplace for my health reasons, and I chose this area. If you all build a ballpark in my backyard, it's going to drive me bonkers, mister. I'm sorry. I'm a sports fan. I love sports. My brother played baseball semi-pro. I got no problem with that. Just that where you're going to put it and the construction's going to go on, it's going to ruin my privacy. I just had no idea this was going to happen when I bought the house. It was not disclosed to me. I found out after the fact that it's been public record for a long time. Had I known that, I never would have bought the place.
Which house did you buy?
1008 Marvin Avenue.
Who's your neighbors?
It's the 3rd house in from 8th.
You're 2 houses north of me, Mr. Ball.
2 north?
2 north, right by that.
No.
So,
You said from 8th Street?
I'm sorry, 10. 1008 is my address. Yeah.
So where you're at now, is there already a ball field behind you or not?
The sports complex is the house just to the right of me as I'm looking out toward my backyard, and that's where the last fence is right there. From the plans that I saw on the internet, center field is going to be exactly where my cypress trees are. It goes across the back. I thought I had the best looking lot in the whole town because I've got all that privacy in the back. You know, then you got the drainage ditch behind it. When you buy a house, location's number one. I said, this is great. Nobody can build behind me. I'm going to have my privacy. I love it. You know, I want to be a part of this community. That's why I came down here. I think I've got a lot to offer, but I've also got a lot of stuff that I need to stay away from.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir, thank you for your
Thank you.
service.
Appreciate hearing that. May I give you these two pictures that shows my backyard?
Yes, sir. How much rainfall did we have? I mean, I know you say it rained 2 days, but the thing is, how much did it rain? I mean, you know,
I don't know. I haven't seen rain in 25 years.
yeah,
All I
I've
saw was
seen
snow.
houses all over this town during this time.
Yeah.
Ain't a ball field near them. The yards were flooded with water.
Yeah.
I guess they got drainage problems too. But it's not from a ball field. And
That was taken a week before I closed. I closed Friday, this last Friday.
Yes, sir.
And that day it looked exactly like this.
we did have a lot of rain there. It wasn't just a little bit. It was a lot. And the ground was soaked.
It was,
And
definitely.
water had nowhere to go anyway. I don't care what kind of rain. At that point, it was so saturated with water, it just sit on top of people's yards. I went all down Palm Boulevard looking. They were flooded all in their front yards. I don't know why, I'm not sure. If that was a clogged up drainage, I'm not sure, but.
Yeah.
You know, we've never tackled the drainage problem in that area. And with this, what we're gonna do, we're wanting to tackle the drainage problem too, to make it better as far as drainage goes. So,
So I had to buy flood insurance. Thank you for listening to me.
yes, sir, thank you. And I say, thank you for your service. Anyone else?
I have something on a different subject. It's kind of important, and it kind of goes to the Centennial Building.
I'm gonna allow you this
Yeah,
time.
It's a different subject.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
need
going
to-
to talk about this, the other one anymore. I just want to say thank you, Ms. Charlotte, to go and do this over and over again. But this is a Centennial Building, and I've talked to David Ashbrook about this. It's our auditorium. And this is the perfect item that if you look at the tourist development statute, you can give money to auditoriums. So what I don't understand is why we're not going to the county and asking for TDC money to help with our auditorium, our only auditorium in the city, and we're the highest populous area in the county. So I think that would be a nice thing, not only for Miss Charlotte, who's put in a lot of time, but for the citizens. So if y'all could please look at that statute that I gave you a number of meetings ago, you'll see that's part of what you can use for tourist development dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up.
Hi, Jill Beatty, 808 Marvin. I just wanted to tell about, to try to shed a little light maybe on something that was said earlier. When the whole thing with the park came up, my neighbor Beverly Maddox and I started working on it, and she went to talk to Mr. Smallwood, and she came back with a lot of notes about the plans and so forth. And among those notes, she had the name of the person at the Florida Water Management group that had talked to the city, or to Mr. Smallwood. And so I called him. And what he told me is that when they talked, he basically gave him advice as to what permitting agencies would be involved. And he said it would be them, and it would be the Corps of Engineers. And he said they didn't have plans, and so they didn't give them any information on whether the permits would be granted or not. But as we continued our conversation, and he said to me, he said, well, you know, our permits don't say whether this is a good idea or not. And this is when you all were considering taking down my 110 trees, and I was freaking out. And he said, our permits won't protect your trees. And he said, and I don't think that there's any permits. This was just his opinion. And he said, I don't think the permitting process is going to stop this. And so I think that that was I don't think anything underhanded was going on when he had the discussion with Mr. Smallwood. I think it was just a fact-finding thing, and he was giving his opinion based on his experience to Mr. Smallwood, who was, you know, asking questions based on his experience. And he gave that same opinion to me as a citizen, and I don't think he meant it to be anything underhanded. And I do have the name at home in my records. I don't have it with me, and I don't remember it. But I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You don't need my address, right?
Anyone else? Anyone else from the public? All right, this time we'll go to the commissioners. Mr. Langston, we'll start with you.
I'd like to say that the stripes on Avenue A really looks good. Brings the road out. Also, I'd like to say that I talked to the guy that's doing MLK, the trees and the brush and the roses, and the orange trees just came in. So that project should be going on probably a week from today or a few days from today. So the beautification of MLK will be started within the next week or two. I saw the roses and the trees, and they got oranges on the other side of about this big right now. So I think it'll be a great thing for that we're putting on MLK.
I just have a couple of things. Just want to let everybody know, I believe it said it in the paper, but Triumph has dispersed funds for Gulf County. One for a drone program at the high school to the tune of almost $700,000. They'll be bringing in instructors and teaching our children how to build and fly drones. And the second project with some caveats was the dry dock. That said, with those two approvals, we still have not put in. I would really like to add to the agenda this next meeting, going out for an RFQ to secure somebody who specializes in Triumph grants. I would love to add that to that. I think that we're missing out. And between now and then, I'd like us all to come up with some projects that we've had, there's a lot of things we've all wanted to do. Let's ask. Like you said, Mayor, if you don't ask, you're not going to get it.
Yep.
The other issue that I had, we had spoken about putting some kind of a parking meter down at the boat ramp. I did find all the paperwork on that. Turns out they were not $3,000 a piece. They're $9,000 for three. So, I'm sorry, they were $27,000 for three, $9,000 each. But I did give that information to Jim to take a look at. And we really don't have an enforcement mechanism yet. I know our attorney's working with the Golf Cart Committee to figure out a way to enforce those types of violations. I just want us to keep that in mind. And Jim, if you want to dig around for other companies, I did that July of last year, I think, and that was the best one that I could find, but there may be other avenues that we can look at. But that'll be a good solution to make more money at that boat ramp. If people have the ability to swipe a credit card, they're more likely to pay. And that's all that I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hoffman.
The only thing I have is a follow-up from our last meeting. I know we had a citizen bring up an issue with the recycling dumpsters. I think it's 8th Street. Did we do anything about that?
Yeah, Mr. Davis moved those to the Public Works facility there at 10th Street.
Okay, good. I just didn't see anything that's reflected on it.
Now, with that though, remember, it's only open Monday through Friday, so the weekends it's not accessible.
Okay, and if that begins to be a problem, we'll just address it. But I think that at least solves the issue that he was having. appreciate that. That's all I have.
The only thing I got is, Jim, I was just like, do you have anything to lighten us on golf cart meeting today? Anything positive come out of it, or?
Yes,
still
sir,
working?
we did have a meeting today. We had a lengthy discussion going through all the elements of the golf cart ordinance itself. The plan is to have another meeting in 2 weeks. We're getting really close. We have most of the elements, input from the committee to give to you. The last part we're working on is the enforcement mechanism, so we're gonna try to tackle that in the next meeting. So we're getting really close, man.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I would concur with Jim. We're real close to having something ready to present this board. We've put together a rough draft for the committee to review today. We took their input. I'll clean that up, and then we'll, hopefully our next meeting, we'll discuss the penalties provision, and that should come real close to wrapping us up.
All right, thank you. I need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion.